Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be working on this bear bucket hat pattern. It will be available now on our shop, link down below. Anyways, you'll be getting two files, okay? The first one is the instructions where I'll give you the printing settings and a picture guide on how to tape and assemble a pattern. So basically we're matching and taping on the dotted line from A1 to A2. Have the size chart, and of course here's the video tutorial. We're going to start by first printing out the first page of the pattern file and doing the test square. The square has a measure 2 by 2. That way we can double check that the printing settings are correct, and then we're going to tape it all together. Again, there's only 2 pages for this pattern, and so we're going to trim and match on the dotted line. After that, we're ready to cut and start sewing. Okay, so we're going to start with the bear hat top. Go ahead and cut 6 out of fabric and 6 out of lining. We're going to work on the lining. Well, I guess you could do the main fabric as well. So go ahead and sew 3 pieces each, right? On the sides, 1/2 inch seam allowance. So this is what it should look like. But for the main fabric, put it to the side. We're going to continue with the lining and sew the 2 pieces together, 1/2 inch seam allowance. And this is how the lining should look like, okay? The reason why we haven't started on the main fabric one is because now we need to work on the ears, because those need to be attached before we sew the whole hat together. Okay, so here are the ears, the outer piece. Go ahead and cut 4 out of fabric, and then you guys can use wire, batting, foam, whatever you want to use to give the ears shape, right? And then this is also optional, like the inner part of the ear. I'm using felt. I'm just gonna like top stitch it on top of the fabric. You guys don't have to add that part if you don't want to, but yeah, if you do, sew that before we sew the ears together, okay? Okay, so now we're ready to pin and sew the ears together. So I'm taking my batting, placing a ear on top, and then the other ear on top of it, right sides, and we're going to be sewing 1/4 seam allowance. And after that we can trim, clip. If it's a little bit bulky, you can remove the axis, and then after that you can flip it to the right side. And here are the little bear ears that are ready to attach onto the hat. Okay, so if you look back at the pattern, there is a marking on there letting you guys know where to pin the ears. So I'm transferring that onto my hat, and I'm going to pin and sew the ears 1/4 seam allowance just to hold it in place, because after that I'm going to connect both pieces how we did it with the lining. We're doing it the same way with our main fabric, sewing the curved area, 1/2 inch seam allowance, and this is what it should look like so far. The next step is optional. If you want to add some fun patches, I recommend doing that right now before we move forward with the hat and attach the lining. Okay, so onto the brim of the hat, go ahead and cut 4 out of fabric and then 2 out of batting, and then we're going to start pinning. So we're going to have our batting, okay? We're going to place our piece of fabric, another piece of fabric facing the right side, okay? And then the last piece of batting on top, and we're going to sew the sides 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then when we have the other 2, we're going to sew them as well on the sides 1/2 inch seam allowance, and this is what you should have so far. And now we're going to connect both pieces together, okay, facing right sides, and sewing the bottom hem together 1/2 inch seam allowance. Once we're done sewing, I'm going to clip all around the hat at the bottom of the hem. Just be careful you don't cut into the stitching. But yeah, basically this just helps it shape better once you flip it to the right side. And here is our brim. And now we're going to close the opening. If you want to stitch it in place, you can. I'm just gonna pin it and pin the hat on top of it and sew everything all at once. And we're gonna be sewing 1/2 inch seam allowance once we connect the hat to the brim. Okay, so this is how our bucket hat should look so far. The last thing we're going to do is add the lining. So I'm going to push it back in and I'm going to place the lining in the inside again, right sides together, right? So the pretty with the pretty together. And then we're going to be sewing all around 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now go ahead and grab a seam ripper, okay? We're going to remove a couple stitches on the lining, okay? Please remove the stitching only on the lining on one side. Create an opening, that way you can flip the hat to the right side, and after that we're going to obviously now close the opening on the lining by hand. Just do a couple stitches to close that, push the lining on the inside, and here is your bucket hat. So cute! Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll go ahead and link the pattern down below in case you're interested, and I'll see you guys on the next video.